For some strange reason, I am running 100 kilometers once a week in 2025. At least 100 kilometers once a week. So much of it is just a mind game of like everything I go in to do. I don't care if I'm a complete beginner or extremely advanced. I am going to be the best, and that is the only way you can think about it. I always describe it to my friends like I feel emotions so profoundly on a Wednesday. When I'm sad, I'm so sad. I've started looking at that like now. I love that. I love that on a Wednesday. Like I get to really feel it all. It's like you go through all of life in one day. I am Mark Branniff. I am 26. I'm from just outside Belfast. And for some strange reason, I am running 100 kilometers once a week in 2025. At least 100 kilometers once a week.
Yeah, we'll get into that because the at least I think is very important in that statement that you just gave. Let's kind of start then, man, with a bit of background to you because you're from near Belfast, but you're not there right now. Where are you, and why are you where you are? I guess.
I am in Sydney, in Australia. I was living in Madrid for a couple of years before this, and then just kind of wanted to change, wanted to see something a bit different and a new challenge. And I hadn't started running until I got to Australia, so I just wanted to change it up and really see some other things because I'm still young.
Yeah.
Why not?
What? Because I know you've always been kind of in this athletic space. If you hadn't started running till you got to Oz, what sort of world were you in? Where was kind of like the athletic endeavor?
It was in CrossFit. I feel like every young lad that starts CrossFit around 20, 21 is like, I'm going to be the best CrossFitter in the world, get super jacked and be unreal. But life kind of got in the way and just was enjoying myself in Madrid, drinking, having a good time, and not really taking training as seriously. I was throughout my younger life was playing Gaelic football, and
Yeah.
then found CrossFit a bit later. Just sort of fell into it. One of my friends introduced me, said, "You're really good at suffering, mate. Do that CrossFit thing." Got into that. That's my full time job. I'm a CrossFit coach, and yeah, just got a job in Madrid. Was trying to pursue that for a long time, and moving to Oz, I kind of knew that unless I wanted to inject myself full of steroids, I wasn't going to make it, and I didn't really want to do that. But I still always had the inkling that I could be a pro athlete and do quite well as a pro athlete. In what sport? I didn't know. So I came over to Oz and I had a big long list. I have a big long list of life goals that I want to do, whether it's 5 languages is one of them, right from there to being on the Joe Rogan podcast. And the one on the list that I wanted to do least was run 100 miles in one go. So in January of 2024, I decided to do that around Centennial Park in Sydney, which was 44 laps. And sort of since then, everything's kind of spiraled into this.
I find it quite interesting when you hear people's backstories and people have kind of come to running a little bit later on in life that maybe have a sporting background. And you kind of see these patterns. I often see people that have played football at a relatively high level, like semi-pro level, or, been in academies when they were kids or whatever, and then come to running kind of excel. I feel like that might be the same with Gaelic football. I'm not too sure. I think it's something to do with that multi-sprint element of it that builds
Yeah.
up that cardiovascular base when you're a kid, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you always have that kind of ability as well. I think whenever you're 18, 19, and 20, like, see young professional athletes, it's absolutely insane to me that they're able to do that at the highest level. I didn't have a clue what I was doing with myself at that age. Even if you know, yes, I want to be a footballer, or yes, I want to be a boxer or a runner, how you're able to like stay disciplined in that when you don't know anything outside of it, I think is just the craziest thing in the world. That like fair play to those kids that excel and go on and become top athletes in their sport. But just for me, it was like locking down and locking myself into something when I really didn't have a clue what I was about and what I liked and what I didn't like. What I realized throughout uh, CrossFit and Gaelic football was I only enjoyed the doggedness of it. like
Yeah.
the hard work and the suffering side of it. But I never knew that, like the skill and all that never really bothered me. I just enjoyed going and being fitter than everybody else. But it was very hard for me to like understand that, I think. And that's why young athletes, it's just nuts that they're able to like maintain that at that age and stay tuned in, especially with so many things, especially for a footballer in England. If you're going from a relative unknown to hundreds of thousands a year, even in like not even in the championship, like, and you're going up to thousands a week. That's a massive lifestyle change at that age.
How much
I
do you
just
think
find it nuts.
genetics plays a part at that point? You know, these successful athletes at that age. Is it all genetic? Is it to do with the nurture of them? Like, what do you kind of see?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think genetics will definitely play a point to a role, but I personally, don't get me wrong, I have quite good genetics, but like nothing mad. But one thing that I know now, that it's just in your head. So much of it is
Yeah,
just a mind game of like, I now think like of myself personally, I'm like, everything I go in to do, I don't care if I'm a complete beginner or extremely advanced, I am going to be the best. And that is the only way you can think about it. And it doesn't matter whether you are or not. Obviously, I'm not going to be, and I'm not the best runner in the world, but I believe that I will be, and I am up there. And like, it's just the thought process more for me than genetics will play you to a certain point. But a lot of the time, I see it as an excuse for a lot of people. Because, like, I know a lot of lads that are genetically better than I am running wise, and I would absolutely smash them because they don't have the mindset for it. To be honest, that's just
yeah,
how I look at it, like personally, because it's all just how you believe in yourself, and if you're willing to like disregard things that people say and what they believe or limitations they put on you to a certain extent.
you mentioned when you were talking about Gaelic football and CrossFit and enjoying the hurt, having that dog in you, and obviously what you're doing right now is kind of paramount to that, right? Running 100k every single week, um, in one go, I should say, for anybody that is maybe not deep in that. It's Mark's running further than that most weeks, or pretty much every week, but one day in 7 days he will run 100k non-stop, and the times in those as well is kind of ridiculous. I first came across you at the start of the year, and we've been chatting for a bit to get this done. When you first started this, could you see yourself in April, still ticking this off? Like, how did that first idea come about? And then I guess talk me through that first month.
To be honest, it had me in a bit of a crux in January mentally, where it was just like kind of falling into a bit of a victim mentality on myself,
Mm,
like, oh, like I have to do this, like, and it's like slowly the more I do it, then the more I'm starting to really enjoy it and kind of think that's switch that thinking process at the start. It was very much like going out the door knowing I'm running 12 hours at least, you know what I mean, with a few breaks here and there. It'll roughly be between somewhere 9 and 12 hours, whatever it is. And it was waking up on a Wednesday morning. Whoa, that's a bad time. That's a bad time at the start. Now I'm starting to look at it like I get the opportunity to prove every single week that I am about this lifestyle. And like what an opportunity. Like so many people would give everything to even just try something like this or to do it once. And every week I've got an opportunity to hit it and to prove that, like, to myself, and I'm trying to prove to others because negative motivators are still pretty good motivators.
yeah,
That I want this life and I want it with everything. So at the start, it was quite difficult. And as time goes on, I feel like I've become my own motivator and my own like inspiration nearly at some points where you're like looking back and like, yeah, I done that. I ran up around Singapore, the circumference of it in 30-degree heat with 100% humidity and no money. And you start to be like, it builds. I've looked at it like the most humbling and confidence building journey you could ever experience, because between that run and the next one, I'm a god. I'm unstoppable. And then the night before that run, you're like, oh, gotta do it again. You gotta do it again. So
Yeah.
I think from the start of the year, it's more the belief in myself that has really changed, and the knowledge that I am capable of it, even on the bad days, especially on the bad days.
Yeah, I mean, especially on the bad days. There's that phrase, isn't there, that people always say, like, you live for the weekend. Like, you got the people that work 9 to 5 in the week. And I'm sure there's plenty of people listening to this right now that look forward to Saturday and Sunday the most out of the entire week. And
Yeah.
looking from the outside into your journey, it's quite interesting because I'm definitely not saying Wednesday's like a weekend for you, because that's the most insane thing. But there is this day that you have every single week, and more often than not on a Wednesday, that everything kind of leads towards. Like everything else leads towards this day. Does it feel like that a little bit?
Yeah, it's completely changed my perceptions of days.
Yeah.
Wednesday feels like a Friday now.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know how to explain it. It just feels like a Friday, because you're like leading up to it. It's like, right, Thursday night, you're like, right, it's on tomorrow, let's go. And then you get the Friday done, you're like, yes, come on. And then it gets that Friday evening, you're like, I have the weekend, and then I've work Monday, Tuesday, and then I'm hitting it again on the Wednesday. So it has completely changed the perception. But I can't also let it bog me down either. I can't let it be like, if I'm thinking ahead, part of the reason I'm doing this is to like to have that experience, and like not just to achieve something, and obviously inspire young lads for their mental health. It's to have the experience, like the ups and the downs. It's all, I always describe it to my friends, like I feel emotions so profoundly on a Wednesday. Like when I'm sad, I'm so sad. And I've started looking at that like, no, I love that. I love that on a Wednesday. Like I get to really feel it all. It's like you go through all of life in one day, and
Yeah.
it's fun. It's a really
I was
fun
going to ask
experience.
you, like, how do you feel towards that day specifically? Like, if you just looked at it in the calendar and you just looked at Wednesday, how would you feel towards it? But I imagine it's just a revolving door of emotions. So like you say, some days you will look at Wednesday and you'll be excited that you get to do it all
Yeah,
again. You get to run 100K. And other days you'll look at Wednesday and you'll think, oh my God, like, why did I start this?
exactly. Exactly. It's just some weeks it's up, some weeks it's down. It's just like normal life, but with that added extra twinge of like, oh, can you
Yeah.
do this? But it's always like, nowadays it feels more like it's just another day in the life, to be honest.
Which is a mad, mad thing to say. The one thing that I love about this challenge as well is that it's not just getting up and running 100K every Wednesday. Like, I feel like the person you are, and now having followed you on social and us having a bit of conversation, a bit of dialogue as well, you can kind of tell that you're not happy with the norm. And in this instance, running 100K a week is the norm, which again sounds completely mad. But if you're just going to write the challenge on paper, is 100K a week. But you're not doing that. You're doing 100K. You're going to Singapore, running the circumference of Singapore. You're running more some weeks. You're running it with a weight vest. Like, what was the decision to not just do 100K a week, but to add all these other elements in as well? Or was there even a decision?
No, there's never really been a decision. It's always just like looking for more, just looking for the next hill to climb. There has been some decision in terms of making one every once in a while much harder, because it makes
Yeah.
the other ones feel that much easier. So when I done the weight vest one, next week I got up on the Wednesday and I was like, 100K without a weight vest? What do you mean? Let's go. Come on, get me out the door. It's no problem. And then other times it's again to sort of, because I know there's not that many people that know about me currently, but I fully believe that they will. But it's kind of more so to say like, I'm not messing about here. Like I'm about this life, and I want to do this, and I will enjoy myself outside of it. but I'm just here to show you that it doesn't matter the day, the time, the hour, what's going on, I will get it done.
Is your perception of what's difficult shifting with this?
Yeah. I I both hate and love talking to people because some people when they speak to me they're like, "Oh, I done my first 5K at the weekend." I'm like, "That's unreal." Like I understand conceptually for them how that feels and it's unreal and I'm so buzzing. Individually, I look at things a lot differently than what I would have before or how other people view them, especially when it comes to distances or like long duration challenges, whether it's an Ironman or pull ups for 8 hours. I view things a lot differently nowadays than what I would have. That it's just time and volume.
Have you shocked yourself? Did you think you'd be in this place mentally and physically?
Mentally, no. Physically, I knew I could get here. Mentally, I never always had a bit of trouble when I was younger with my mind. That's why I'm raising money for men's mental health.
Yeah.
Mongrels Men, they're like a local place in Sydney. But mentally, I never thought I would be so clear and so happy while doing something like this. I always thought that I had to be like, oh, like under the cosh. But like, it's just all this thing we do is pretty much just all perception. Like, it's just a
Mm.
battle in your head. And now I'm starting to look at life a lot differently. Like, this is unreal. Like, life's so good every day. I get to experience extreme highs, extreme lows, everything in between. How lucky am I to have that in my life? And it's a really good place to be in. I'm trying to appreciate the lows now, which is something I never would have done. And thought that, oh, he's there, he must be always happy, and realizing that that's not the case. Nobody is always content or on this level. Like, so when I'm in those pits on the run or even just in day to day life, like struggling with money, whatever it is, I'm like, these are the times when I'm older, I'll be like, what a great time that was
Mm.
because I was able to go out and have a bit of fun while I was still suffering and like going through tough times. So I feel like more so the mindset has become something that I never thought I would have achieved as to what it is now.
I know it's cliche, and everybody says it, but we genuinely are all on our own journey. And again, coming back to your Instagram, which if you don't go and follow Mark on Instagram, do it. I'll put a link in the bio of this. Um, One thing I really enjoy is the enjoyment in the suffering and the enjoyment in the challenge. And there's a lot of smiling, there's a lot of camaraderie, there's a lot of pals with you. And even in the photos that you post, which do really make me laugh after the 100K, where you're like sitting on the sofa with a squares bar or something like that, like it just looks like, you've done this amazing thing. And then you're just like, right, reset, we'll do the week and then we'll go again. Even in those moments, it just feels like there's a lot of love that's going into this challenge, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
There's a lot of love from yourself towards the challenge. There's a lot of love from everybody else around you towards the challenge, which is really cool.
yeah. Oh, like the people around me like support me so much, and like
Mm.
all my friends are like, I'm nearly at points like I need to stop talking about myself to other people. Do you know what I mean? Like they're always just like so supportive of it, and then like a few of the lads will come out, and it's just like when I'm running the 100K, it's not like I'm doing it. We're just all there. Like one of them could be calling me whatever name, and it's just like enjoyment in it, and we all know what I'm doing. But like having a bit of fun in the meantime, and like actually really enjoying the process, really, really enjoying it, even when it sucks. Really, just having my friends around me, the people that I care about, and like especially again going back to like other athletes. I thought back in the day you need all the top coaches, all this and that. Like you don't. You need the people that support you the most, and the people that believe in you the most around you, and to have a good time. And that's it. That is literally all I think that you need, especially in something like this.
Do you think we overcomplicate it sometimes? You mentioned like the top coaches and this and that. It does it feel like, you know, we almost talk ourselves out of things because we think I need this and I need this and I need this, when really you just need a bit of grit.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, you have to put the work in, but it's just time and volume. A lot of people tend to overcomplicate it. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're doing something like what I'm doing, you should really look at the like science and all that. As a general, go out, run 80% of the time, take it easy, 20% of the time, go hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just really enjoy it and go hard at it. You don't need to be like thinking about all these mental nutrition plans and all these mental like programs. Just do the work. Just get out, select amount of time you're going to train the week, do that. Like there's no nothing behind it. It's just pushing hard and enjoying the process. That's it. Nothing
Get a
more.
square, get a squares bar in you and move forward, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Get a big feed and hope for the best.
um, let's get into the nitty gritty of some of these 100Ks a little bit, because
Mhm.
before we hit records, we were just chatting a little bit about time and stuff like that. It's, it always comes in, doesn't it, into the conversation. Like when you
Yeah.
talk about running, there's always that time element of it. And I think a lot of people that are maybe listening to this and don't know your story will be thinking, you're going out and you're ticking off 100K and you're just, getting that distance done, which you are in some respects, but you're also getting that distance done at a fair clip. Like these 100Ks, they're not slow. And I think for a challenge like this, you'd be forgiven for going out and just covering the distance. Was that something that you decided to do to actually move through these 100Ks pretty sharpish, or are you going out there and just running to a comfortable feel every week and that's just progressing?
I I was initially kind of just trying to get it done. Like the Strava will show 9 hours. Usually that's 10 hours with all the breaks in because it's moving time. It's usually
Yep.
just add an hour on to what you see because it's like 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. But the intention is, yeah, to try and run around somewhere below 6 minutes for all my kilometers so that I know when I eventually start racing and getting into the big longer races, that I have the capacity in the legs and I can go extremely dark. But on the days where it's like, okay, I need a break right now, my hamstrings are pretty tight, it's fine. 15 minutes, no problem. We're back out, we're hitting that pace again. It's huge volume building and it's still extremely fast. And I want to see over the course of the year those times just coming down, 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 down throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the start it was just kind of get it done. And as the years moved on, I realized what my body's actually capable of and how much it's improved in covering that distance and soon to be hopefully a lot further distances after the last man standing this weekend. That it's about getting faster and prepping for races because I will do more challenges, a lot more, but I also want to mix it up in races and show guys that I'm not just some lad on the internet who's doing these road challenges. I'm not afraid to go in and mix it up with some of the world's best and like push on them. Might not beat them, but I'll push them.
That
That's the plan.
is a really interesting way of looking at it. And I don't think I've looked at it like that yet. I think I've seen this as a challenge. And I think in your head, you maybe see this as a training program.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Because that shows who you are, right? You're doing this to mix things up again more in the future. This isn't for in any respect going to be, you know, the be all and end all, the thing that finishes on the 52nd week of the year. This is just the beginning.
This is truly the beginning. This is a volume building year, as as what I have planned. Hopefully, to really take on some monster challenges within the next few years, and not
Hmm.
just in running.
Okay, there you go. There's another thing, and not just in running. Was that the goal at the start of the year, mate? Like, was it right? 2025 volume. Was that what you kind of came into this with, or has that kind
Yeah,
of developed?
it's developed again. Another thing that's
Yeah.
developed, but I knew that this would only be the start of many years to come of me really trying to push on hard and accomplish things. And I've known from I ran my first 100 mile that this is going to be my life. Pick the life of suffering,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I just I know that it feels strange to say it out loud because I feel nearly embarrassed when I say it to people, but I feel destined. And I I understand I'm not, and I understand that, but I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my bones that I can change what people think is physically possible, and I'm going to keep pushing until I do that.
I don't think that's something that you should be like embarrassed to say though, because you're already proving that. You know, you haven't maybe got the worldwide recognition that I'm sure is going to come at some point, but like you're you're already proven that the body and the mind and you know what you're doing on a week by week basis is a pretty special thing. I think you can already see that from the small nucleus of people that are around you on the ground in Australia.
Yeah,
So it's I think it probably feels a bit weird to say it, right? But
yeah.
you're already doing it in some capacity.
Oh no, I like I just feel when I meet new people, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
initial interaction, and they already know me because there is people that will meet you and be like, "Oh, you that guy that does that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, like how do you feel?" And I'm like, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, "I am unstoppable." You
mm,
know what I mean? It's just a very strange thing, but I personally believe it to my absolute core, and I'm just don't want to be up in people's faces all the time about that
yeah.
deep side of it, that how I feel about it and how it makes me feel. It's a very like intimate thing. It's a strange feeling. It is a really strange feeling. Like especially when I'm out and about, and then there's been a few times where people have recognized me and like come up to me and said like you're the guy doing that, and I'm like yeah, and they're like that's so cool, and like asked for a photo, and I was like mate, that's the strangest thing ever. Like ask me, you know what I mean? But it's cool. It is cool. But yeah,
I often when I speak to people that you know like yourself that are doing mad things. I've got a really close friend who's been on the podcast a few times, Scott Jenkins, and I met him through another podcast, and he's just turned into a really good mate, and he's just finished the Arizona Monster, which is a 300
the
mile,
300.
I mean destination trail or one of Destination's trails, and he came ninth. And the annoying thing about Scott is like every time the distance seems to increase, he seems to get better. And I feel like it's not, it's an amazing thing to be good at, but it's kind of quite an annoying thing to be good at as well. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
it's the
Like,
worst.
it's so annoying to be the guy that gets to go and run 100K every week and, you know, can do that relatively easily.
Yeah, it is. I always say to my friends, I'm like, why could I not have just been good at 100 meters or
Yeah.
football or something normal? Do you know what I mean? It has to be really long suffering sessions. But that's insane. The 300-mile
Oh,
race
man.
is nuts. I was watching, do you follow Glaze?
Yeah.
Andy
Andy Glaze.
Glaze?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was following his Instagram of him doing it, like sleeping on the dirt trails. I
Yeah,
definitely want
man.
to hit America at some stage and do some of those, like the Moab 240 and obviously the Arizona Monster, and there's a few others out there I would love to hit.
Yeah, I'll hook you up with Scott at some point actually because I think you two would you'd have a good conversation even if it is
That
just to
always,
pick each other's brains a little bit. Um, you mentioned this weekend. Obviously, this is likely to come out after the Last Man Standing, but for anybody that doesn't know what a Last Man Standing is, just explain that and then let's go into some goals for this race this coming weekend because mate I
yeah,
can see how excited you are about this.
yeah, I'm buzzing. So, Last Man Standing, otherwise known as a backyard ultra, is a 6.7K loop, which you do at the start of every hour for as many hours as possible until one person who started the race is the only person left. So if it takes you 40 minutes to run 6.7, you have 20 minutes to rest, and that is every hour until one stands. But yeah, for this
It,
weekend, I'm very nervous and very, very excited. There is some of the world's best going. So Phil Gore, if you know Phil
yeah,
Gore, the ultra runner from Australia, he's going. Chris Turnbull, who has the record from Perth to Sydney, is going. A lot of these guys are going, and I am really gunning to mix it up with them. I can't wait to just get in there and get after it deal with some sleep deprivation, some hallucinations, get right in the fun of it. But the goal is to win.
Okay.
Simple as the goal is to win, and I don't think too many there are expecting me to really mix it up. But oh, I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna be right there in the middle of it, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait
It's got to
because
be
I
nice
believe that
though.
I can win this.
Yeah, man, it's got to be nice to be going in. It's always that thing, isn't it? Like it's better to be the chaser than the chased. And I think
Hmm.
where you're coming from right now, and kind of like like you say, the volume building that you've put in over the past 4 months, in terms of like from a sports science space, the amount that you've put into your body, but also mentally, you are going in as you're the guy that's running 100k a week, yes, but you're also the guy that's got all of that physical backing as well. So going in knowing that's got to bring confidence.
Yeah, I feel hungry. Like
Yeah.
I feel like this is a needs must for me. Dealing
Mm.
with the sleep deprivation, I don't have much of a team through the nights. I have my physio, and she is amazing. She's going to give me a hand. Marion, shout out Marion, she's unbelievable. Anybody in Sydney should get on to her. Insane, but she'll be there. A few of the friends will be there at night one or two. But I want to mix it up, and if it's there to the world record standing, I believe I can get that far. And if it don't, what odds? I'll be back, and I'll be back, and I'll be back, and I'll be back. It doesn't matter, but this one is going to happen, and I'm going to make it happen.
How is the body? You mentioned Marion. Shout out Marion again. Is has there been, obviously there would have been niggles and there would have been bits of bobs that are a bit sore, but has there been anything that you thought, oh, this might get a little bit more serious?
No, to be
Oh,
honest,
right.
the worst has really been my breathing. Like sometimes with a lot of the pressure I put on myself, it sort of physically manifests,
Okay.
and it feels like somebody's pushing my chest right in, and I struggle to breathe sometimes. But other than that, I've got that sort of Marian's give me some supplements, and like she's also a naturopath, so she's given me some herbal remedies, and honestly, it has made a difference. Whether that's placebo, I really do believe what she's given me has helped. So it's ashwagandha, and I can't remember what
Okay.
the other one was, but I'm able to breathe again. And obviously, I think with the mental changing and
Mm.
not being as dreading as I was, it's definitely helped. But yeah, that's been the worst. Is probably just the breathing aspect of like the I gotta do this, like the you breathe in and you feel it. But other
Mm.
than that, no, body is feeling pretty damn sharp, to be honest. Pretty
N-
damn
n-
sharp.
Normally, I'd probably ask like, what do you think you're going to be feeling like on week 52? But I don't think you're a person that's really going to dwell on it like that 50-second 100k. Even though I'm sure the moment's going to be special, like I think you're just going to be like, right, what's the next thing? Do you think that's probably going to
Yeah.
be what the last one's like?
Yeah, well, I can see myself probably doing it for a while longer after,
Okay.
just building into other runs. So next year, I'm really looking at breaking the record from Perth to Sydney. Uh, Looking at breaking the record from the top to bottom of Ireland, and then breaking the record from Madrid to Barcelona.
Okay.
And then uh, I want to do a marathon swim next year as well. So 42k swim is something I would love to do because I hate the water. So I'll have to get out and do some swimming before then. Those are a few things on my mind. So I'll maybe take a week or two off and then start really getting into the building of volume for some of those bigger runs next year.
It's almost like you're going back to everywhere that's been part of you.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
That's quite cool.
Yeah, I would love to. I just those places mean a lot to me. I think, and I've become a lot more. Before I was very much like just I get on with it, you know what I mean? Like, but I feel like I've become a lot more in touch with where I've come from, what I've done, who I am, and like what I'm about. Like I've actually this T-shirt I'm wearing. I don't know if you can see it very
Yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah.
but one of our friends made it. It's actually a tattoo I've got on the back of my neck from when I was
Oh,
in
sick.
Madrid, and it's not the palm over, which means I was born to move. So like that, I only got that recently, and I just feel like it's just really thinking about all the places I've been, people have been with me, and all the things I've done, and just like appreciating those by doing something I love as well.
And, we've mentioned in this conversation a couple of times having a difficult time mentally, when you were a younger lad and growing up. I think sometimes when you get to a point in life and you're kind of being forced to do this now with what you're doing and thinking about the future and these challenges you'd like to do, you're now reflecting back on those times when you were in those places, when you were in Ireland, when you were in Spain, now when you're in Oz, and realizing, I'm sure, that if you hadn't gone through all those experiences, you wouldn't be here today and you wouldn't be the person that was born to move, let's say.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I feel like now it's just all a part of me, and I really enjoy. Like that's, I actually speak to a few friends about this quite a lot. Would you rather speak to yourself 10 years ago or 10 years from now? And it
Mm,
would probably be 10 years from now, more so than 10 years ago, because suffering is a part of life, and you got to get to know that on your own terms. You can't be taught that, you can't be told that. As many times as you hear it, you won't take it in, especially as a young teenage lad in Ireland, where dealing with emotions is a very, very frowned upon thing. So I feel like as I've become older, I've been able to deal with those, and look ahead but stay present is something
mm.
that's really important.
It's that butterfly effect thing as well, isn't it? Like, if you do go back and you speak to young Mark and you say, like, mate, good stuff's happening in the future, then that good stuff might not happen because you're going to be
Exactly.
looking forward towards that good stuff. At least if you go into the future metaphorically, you can kind of see the stuff that you will have done, I think.
Yeah. More so, it wouldn't be to see anything I've done, just to know that I'm happy with the effort I've put in,
Okay. Yep.
especially in the mental space that I'm in now. It's something that I really like to carry forward. And obviously, if I'm not changing my mindset as time goes on, I'm not evolving and not moving on with life, which is something that just constantly needs to happen. You can't be stuck in the same patterns, and you'll understand that the lows and highs again just always happen, and that's life.
Mm. If you weren't quote unquote enjoying it, would you keep doing it, do you think?
Yeah,
You would.
yeah,
I didn't know
yeah,
what answer I was going to get. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
definitely, definitely,
Mm.
100%.
Is that because there is this inherent feeling that, like, this is what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just, as I said before, I feel like it's my destiny to do this, and I've always known I wanted to be a pro athlete. Unfortunately, extreme suffering is my best asset, so we stick with that. Yeah,
Mm,
I think I've always known that I wanted to be a pro athlete, and I'm very lucky to have parents that now really, really support that, and see where I'm going with what I'm doing and how I'm trying to achieve it, and trying to help other lads realize you can do what you want. You can literally do what you want. You don't have to live a 9 to 5 life. You don't have to get a degree. You don't have to do any of those things. As long as you're aspiring to something, it doesn't have to be anything, or you have a passion. Just do something. Do something you enjoy. Get out there, put yourself out there. Nobody cares. Nobody actually cares, which is unreal, because I
mm.
don't give a damn about what anybody thinks. I couldn't care less, and it's the most liberating thing in the world.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that's a freeing way of thinking, isn't it? The fact that, kind of accepting that nobody, you build up everything in your head more than anybody else is building it up. Like,
Yeah,
nobody cares.
nobody actually cares. Like, in the grand scheme of things, does anybody really care that I'm running 100K once a week? No. But
Mm.
also, they don't care I'm running 100K a week, so I can do it because I love to do it. Sweet. And also get a wee bit of ego out of it as well. Like, yeah, I'm running 100K once a week.
Yeah, man, I
So,
think you're allowed to get that. Well, just a couple more, and I think I did want to touch on, Ireland. We've mentioned it a couple of times, and
Mhm.
obviously it is home. And I know there has been some reaction from Ireland as well, like a bit of press floating about from home,
Yeah.
being the other side of the world, and then seeing that. What does that feel like? The fact that people are speaking about you back at home.
I don't really think about it, to be honest. It's
Okay.
not something I really think about. Like, I know people are probably talking away and stuff, but it's never really, it's cool. It is cool. And like, objectively, in my head, I'm more like, I should be way more like engaged with that. But it's just, again, it's just what odds, it's all part of the process. And I'm really appreciative of the support that I've gained from home. But
Hmm.
it didn't really affect me. It's just like, all right, on to the next. Like, it's what I'm doing, what's happening, what's after this, you know?
Talk me through each 10K of 100K, and we'll finish with this, because I think it's a nice way of
No
kind of
problem.
thinking.
Easy.
Talk me through each 10K from when you get up on a Wednesday, when you put on those shoes. How are you feeling? What's the mental thought
No
process?
problem. I can walk you right through it.
Let's go,
I get up
baby.
in the morning. As soon as I get out of bed, it's immediately like, oh, here we go. Like, oh, here we go. Like, get out into the living room, eat something absolutely ridiculous. More so for the crack of it, just because you can eat what you want, like a garlic bread one morning, bag of sweets other mornings, sandwich, don't really care. Uh, then start to try and get myself into a bit of a mind frame of like, all right, this it's fine. It's just another day. It's literally just another day. Then I stand up. I probably should stretch of some description, but I'm like, I'll use the first
Be all
10K to
right.
warm up,
Be all right.
do the job, out the door, few leg swings and I'm away. Get out, do it's. I don't really look at the first 10K. I look at the first 3 hours as
Okay.
just boring, like mind-numbingly boring. I'll usually listen to like a bit of music, sometimes a podcast or like some history podcast. Nothing mad. Just try to get through the first 3 hours. After the first 3 hours, I'll usually have somewhere between 33 and 36K done, always somewhere between 33 and 36K. For me, mentally, those first 3 hours are super, super important. Super, super important. Then after that, it's kind of like the pressure's off. I've done a nice hard first 3 hours, holding around a 5 minute clip, feeling good. Then from 36 to 60, just fly by. For some reason, every week, 36 to 60, it just seems to happen, and I'm none the wiser. My brain is filled with loads of different thoughts, and it just like I sometimes I know where I usually tend to be, and it's quite scenic along the coast, and it just like snap of a finger, it's gone. Then 60 to 75. This is how I break this down every time. 36 to 60, 60 to 75 is a bit like, oh, I've still 40 kilometers to go. This is
Yeah.
not great. Every single time, every week, I'm like flying. I've took a wee bit of caffeine, I'm hammering, and then it gets to like 63, and I'm like, oh, I've still like 3.5 hours of running to go. I usually take a break for 15 or 20 at 62, 63K in, and then I'll get back out and just get through to 75 to 77. From 77 to 100, the boys that I always have in my thing always run with me. So that just kind of floats in. We talk a bit of smack, we do whatever, depending on how I'm feeling. Now, there is a few weeks where there's been a few tears shed, but if there's more than one or if there's more than two of them, there'll be no tears shed. I'll sit there with my head down, crying into my hat because I'm not showing them any weakness. No, but they don't care either as well. And then from 77 to 100, just finish it out. And then the last 5K, like what
Yeah.
odds? You're there. Usually celebrate with some Lucozade Sport in the Irish shop up in Randwick, unreal. And then down into the house, get some food. We go down to Yana and get a pint or two of Guinness, and that's the day done.
And then you get back and you think, we got to do that again next week.
Oh, I don't even think about that. Don't put that in my mind straight away. But yeah, that's
Mate,
pretty much the full 100.
Yeah, and you know, it's so interesting to see you recount that now, because you've obviously done it X amount of times to this point. What one are we on? Like uh
15,
15.
fifteen.
It's mad to just kind of hear those numbers, and obviously that's going to be significantly more, but because that process is now so hammered into your brain, like that mental process of this is how I feel, this is how I feel, this is how I feel. Even if you don't feel like that when you're doing it, you kind of do
It's
feel
how I
like that when
feel.
you're doing it, because that's the puzzle of the 100K every week, isn't it?
Mhm. It's the
It's
same, like, if you have it struck out in your head that way, that's how it is,
yeah.
which is good, especially on the bad weeks, because it keeps you to that structure
Mm.
as well. Especially those first 3 hours, I can't emphasize how important those first 3 hours mentally. If they're good, like there was one week I only got like 24 done, and in the first 3 hours I was so slow. Had to get Marion down to rub me out, and then I clipped for the next 3 hours, but it made it so much harder, so much harder. But if those first 3 hours go well, I'm in for a good day. I'm in for a great day, and that's how I like frame it in my mind, because I know I can always run well for the first 3 hours. So if I run well for the first 3 hours and then my mind is in that space, then it's like, this is fine, even if I feel terrible.